Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadiyasya Yato Anvayadittarata Chateshvabhijñāsaraः Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि हरि ओम् सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Welcome to the Vedah Satyam series. Shabda Brahma Swarupam Vedah Satyam. Today's topic is Vedanga Paricaya, which means Paricaya means to introduce. Vedanga means it is formed of two words. Veda as the Veda, and Anga means the limbs. So the limbs of the Veda. So the introduction to the limbs of the Veda. Vedanga Paricaya. This is the tree of Vedic literature which we are exploring and which we will be exploring further, covering the different branches in this playlist, in the Veda Satyam playlist. So we have already done the introduction to the Vedas, and in this class we'll do the Vedanga. So just a quick recap of what we have done. So in the first lecture, we had started with the fundamental questions of who am I, what is the purpose of my life, and we saw different pramanas, different means, epistemological means of knowing the correct answer to our questions. Then we also looked upon how the pramanas, 10 pramanas which were there, which can be grouped into three, pratyaksha, anuman, and shabda. But there are faults with the pratyaksha and anuman. Now, shabda praman is the supreme praman. And Shabda Praman refers to the Vedas. We had the prelude to the Vedas and the basic tenets of Vedic philosophy. The second lecture, which was there, we discussed the different concepts. And then in the last lecture, we had the introduction to the Vedas and we studied the structure, the composition of the Vedas. In today's class, we'll study the we'll have the first the introduction to the Vedangas, what are Vedangas, why are Vedangas, how many Vedangas are there, and then we'll dwell upon each of the Vedangas. So there are 6 Vedangas. So first we'll have the Bhumika, that is the introduction. Bhumika means the basis. So Vedanga is supplementary to Vedas. Veda-purusha has 6 angas or limbs which are naturally to assist the personified Vedas as its parts. So limbs are there in a human body. We have the hands, the feet to assist the human body, to assist a person. So similarly, these angas, these limbs, are to assist. How and what we'll see later. So this is a mantra from the Mundaka Upanishad. Siksha Kalpo Vyakaranan Niruktam Chando Jyotishamiti. So the name of the 6 Vedangas are given. The first one is Siksha, phonetics. Next is Kalpa, ritual canon. Vyakaranam, grammar. Nirukta, explanation of words, derivation from roots, etymology. Chandah, Vedic meter in Jyotish. And in one-liner, Siksha and Chandas, they are concerned with the pronunciation and recitation of the Vedic mantras correctly. Siksha means phonetics. We'll dwell upon each of them. So it's just a one-liner. And Chandas is the different tunes for chanting the mantras. And then we have the Vyakarana, Nirukta, which is for understanding the meaning of the words, how to form the words, and all of that. And Jyotish Kalpa is for ascertaining the proper time and the methodology for performing different Vedic ritual sacrifices. And the Vedangas, as one can guess out just from this one line, is that it plays a very integral role for the purity and the integrity of the Vedic tradition. Because if you can't, if you, even in the modern context, the definition of a literate person is that he can read and write in a language. And so, Shiksha is the pronunciation and Vyakaran is the science of making words. So these are very essential aspects. And even so goes with the Jyotisha and Chandah, the Jyotisha and the Kalpa, because they explain how to follow the protocol. So without these things, hardly a person can do anything. And it is it's a prerequisite to understand the Vedas. In the previous times, before teaching the Vedas, first the Vedangas were taught, and then the Vedas were taught. Because if you don't know Sanskrit, anyways, how can you learn Vedas? If you don't know the proper way of reciting it, if you don't know what to do, when to do, how to do, because that comes under the Kalpa section. So it has a very integral role. Originally, Vedangas were not segregated, but the knowledge of Vedangas was hidden in the Vedas. One would sharply grasp and memorize the Vedas simultaneously with Vedangas. Vedangas are 6 branches of knowledge essential for understanding the teaching of the Vedas, and Vedangas are glorified as an essential subset of the 18 Vidyasthanas. There are 18 Vidyasthanas which are mentioned. 6 Vedangas, 4 Upavedas, the 4 Vedas, 14. And then we have the Puran Itihas, 15th. Then we have 16 the Nyaya. The Nyaya is the logic system. 17th is the Dharma Shastras which are there. So because this is one way of classifying. In the Puranas, this way is given. So there are different classifications are there. It is not that we have only the 14 or 4 branches are there or 6 branches are there. So there are different ways are there of classifying. Somewhere we have 14 branches, and there is a 18 branches are there. A different way of classifying, and the 6 Vedangas are part of that. And there, of course, if we are to classify from the Shruti and Smriti, then they are part of the Smriti aspect. The six Angas, also called limbs of Vedas. So basically, what happens is that the Vedas, they are as it is the Angas, the limbs of the Vedas. It is imagined to be the limbs of the Vedah-purusha, Veda-purusha, wherein the Chandas are the feet. Why are they the feet? Because Chanda Shastra, because all the mantras in the Vedas are written in one of the prosodic meter, and they have to be chanted in that way. It forms a basis, and that is why it is known as the feet. Kalpa is the arms, because with hands only we perform all the activities. And Kalpa Shastra, Kalpa Sutra, they tell us how to perform activities. Jyotisha is eyes, because to see the luminary objects, we require eyes. Nirukta is ears, because as Nirukta it explains the words, we will see it how it corresponds to what is being given as the definition. So to understand the correct meaning, it is with the ears. Siksha is nose. Now this is interesting because it may not be clicked at how the Siksha pronunciation is connected to nose, but it is actually connected to breathing. Much of Siksha, the pronunciation, it is explained in the way you breathe, how much time you have to take, how much effort you have to put in pronouncing away. So we'll see that. Vyakaranan is mouth, because with mouth only we utter speech. So with studying Vyakaran, we can understand how to properly utter speech. So first we'll look into Siksha, that is the nose, and it is generally known as the science of speech sounds. It instructs correct pronunciation and recitation of Vedic texts by using different parts of human mouth. You can say also body, because chakras are involved. So that is why the human body it is written, because there are chakras are also involved in that. But on the gross platform, we can understand it to mean the human mouth. It intends to train the students in the art and science of articulation of words and syllables, so that they can chant the Vedic hymns perfectly, producing the desired sound vibrations and maintaining the ritual purity and efficacy of ceremonies they perform. And if you see, it is Shiksha is very, very essential and very integral, fundamental thing, because sound has power associated with it. And sound is the basis of creation. From Akash Tattva comes sound, from sound comes air. And like that, we have the creation. So in the concerned class, we'll study that in deeply. But in a sense, you can understand that sound is the basis of the creation. Because from there we have air, from air we have touch, from touch we have fire, from fire we have form, from form we have water, from water we have taste, from there we have earth, and from earth there is smell. Each of the successive element has the uh, qualities of the precedent element as well. And so sound also has an energy associated with it, and therefore it is said as aksharas. Akshar, we say alphabets. Akshar refers to Kshara means to destroy, and Akshara is the infallible, it's non-destructible. Akshara Brahman. Because in the Vedic, in the Vedanta philosophy, in the Vedanta darshan, the letters are considered to be eternal. It's a big debate among the darshanas, and in the concerned class we'll ponder over it in detail. But in essence, refer to that we understand that sound is something which, as soon as we hear cow, so we have an image of a cow. We hear the word car, so we have the image of of a car. So sound is a subtle representation of an object. Sound is it conveys the meaning in a subtle form. So it is the sound and it is the object. And some schools, darshanas, they say that the connection is non-eternal, and there is a spotava. So car is, so the word, we can take the word cow, gaw. So gaw is not eternally refers to cow. It says that gaw is just a word, and as soon as we utter gaw, there is a spota in the heart, and we have the word cow. So there is not an eternal relation. But the Vedanta darshan is not that. There's an eternal relation of the word with the meaning, and that is why the it eternally denotes that, and there is an eternal connection to that, and that is why it has potency. That is there. In the concerned class will look into it more deeply. And Shiksha, so it concerns with the pronunciation. And as we saw in the previous video, there were Pratishakhas. So there are Vedas, and each Vedas there are Shakhas are there. Each of them has their own Samhita, Aranyaka, Brahmana, Upanishad. And there is some changes when it comes to the pragmatic pronunciation. So each and every Shakha, they have their own pronunciations. So that's why we have the Priti Shakhas, which explain the pronunciation of how, because there are some minor differences. At some places there are some major differences, at some places there are some minor differences as well. So that is explained in the concerned Prati Shakhas are there. The famous one is the Rik Prati Shakha, and like that. There are many Shakhas are there. So traditionally, because so Vyasadev, as we saw, that it up until then, before Vyasadev, everyone would study all the Vedas. Then Vyasadev segregated into four Vedas: Rigveda, Samveda, Yajur, Atharva. And then his disciples, they further segregated that, because it was felt that human cannot, it was impossible for them to digest, for a single person to comprehend and memorize all of the single Veda also. So it was then divided into parts and subparts, shakhas. And each of the shakhas, they have their own unique way of pronunciation. And that is associated. So that is, it has been explained before a person studies a particular shakha, that is explained. So it has a very integral role. The Taittiriya Upanishad mentions about the Shiksha. So this is the second mantra. Om Shiksham Vyakhyasyamaha Varnaha Swaraha Matra Balam Sama Sanatanaha Iti Ukta Shiksha. So here Shiksha Adhyayaha. So there are six parts to it. Six things are there. What are they? It's explained. So first is the Varna Mala, the alphabets. I, I, O, So we'll have that in the next slide. So that is the Varna Mala. Next is the Swara, Udat, Anudat, and Swarita. So now this is very interesting. This is a very peculiar feature. This is a part of the Vedic Sanskrit. In the classical Sanskrit, we no longer have it. In the Vedic Sanskrit, the words were pronounced. There was an intonation attached to it. Udat means high pitch, Anudat is a low pitch, and Swarit is a normal medium pitch. And with the intonation, the mantras would be chanted, and the meanings would change, because if you go into the technicalities, so the samas and all of that thing would depend on the sound also. One very good example of this is some many of the listeners may know this, is the story of Twashta and the Indra Shatru, Vrittasur. So in the sacrifice, Indra Shatru is there. Of course, this is not connected to the Udat and Anudat, but the point is how much effort you give into the sound, and that thereby the meaning can change. And Udat Anudat Swarita. So it is not with the effort, in a sense. Just as an incident topic, I mentioned the story. The Udat Anudat Swarita is concerned with the different into different way of chanting, because that's how because a mantra, that is how the original mantra is. That is how the original mantra is revealed to the different sages, as we have covered this in our previous lecture. And that originality has to be there, because if there is some imperfection is there, then we won't have the full effect. Then next we have is the matra, lagu, guru. So e or a. So that is the length of the pronunciation. So this is mostly concerned with the vowels, not with the consonants. I'm sorry. So so that is there. Next we have is the balam, the strength of the pronunciation. So there is the alpa prana and mahaprana. So we will see that in the next uh, slide. And actually, the Siksha, the grammar, we will have an introduction to the grammar in this lecture. Okay? Grammar, it can be, of course, covered in a whole separate series, but here we'll just look into the basics of that. So here comes the story. So Indra Shatro. So the emphasis has to be done, and based on the emphasis. So if you emphasize on the first word Indra, because it's a compound word, Indra and Shatru, it's a compound word. Samas is there. So if you emphasize on the first word, then the meaning changes it, and if you emphasize on the second word, then the meaning changes. So that is the stories there, and that's how it was a complete 180-degree diametrically opposite result was there. Next we have is the sama, the balance and the detailed musical aspects. So this is the sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. So this is the musical aspect of that, and san ta nah. That is the long and the short pronunciations. How long you have to utter and how short you have to keep it. San ta nah. It concerns with the continuity of the words. We'll see this in the Vyakaranan, but we'll just understand right now that there's a book written by Jiva Goswami, Harinamamrit Vyakaran, and this is the first sutra, Narayana Udbhotoyam Nakramaha. So, as I said, the alphabets, they are eternal and they are produced from Narayana, and the explanation is given. So, and the ka word, ka, kha, ga, gha, na, and visarga appeared from the throat of Narayan. And the entire cha varga, ya, sha appear from the palate. So this is how if you pronounce ka, ka, ga, it originates from the throat, even us. So like that's how it also originated from Lord Narayana. That has been explained here. So Narayana is the soul, and because he is eternal, that is the reason sound is eternal. It is emanated from that, and that's why we have Shabda Brahma. So that is the importance. Next topic which we have is the Vyakaranan. So this is the speech, the mouth, because how you utter the word and how to form the words, that is all concerned. Speech is with Vyakaran. If you don't know Vyakaran, you can pronounce it. So Vyakaran deals with the analysis and decomposition of words formation, root word, etc. In the next word we will see, in the next slide we'll have that. So there is a concept which is also there in English language, but it is more prominent. So just to have it, to put it in simple terms. So we have sentences which we have books. Books are there with the pages, and the paragraphs are there. Paragraphs are with the sentences, and sentences are with the padams, with the words, and the words are with formed with the letters. So varna, padam, vakyam. So all the topics which are there in Sanskrit, some are related to the varna, some are related to padam, some are related to vakyam, and the letters are classified into vowels and consonants. So that is very easy. And there are systems of grammar. It is the famous one. Famous one is the Panini system, but there are other systems. There are still other systems out there, but that has become much more famous because it is very well organized. And there's also a story attached to it. We'll have it when we see the Maheshwar Sutras. So this is a verse from Patanjali's Mahabhashya commentary on the Panini's Ashtadhyaya. ऐन्द्रियं चन्द्रं काशकृष्णं कौमारं शाकतायनं सारस्वतं चापि शलं शाकलं पाणिनीयकम्. These are the 9 grammars which are also prevalent. We have the Aindriya by the Indradev, Chandra by the Chandradev, Kashakrishnam, Kaumaram, Shatakayanam, and like that. But the most famous one is the Panini system because it's of course well preserved. That is one of the reason it is very well organized and it is very beginner friendly. Of course, it is very difficult now. People have become so our intelligence has dwindled so much that it is also a big thing. But still, he could capture the entire grammar in 400 in 4,000 sutras. So that is a greatness. So as I said, the grammar topics can be divided into 3 levels. On the Varna level, we have the Varna Vibhagaha, so that we have the vowels and the consonants, and then vowels also we have. So some are like the independent vowels, some are the combinations are there, and in some we have in the consonants also some are Alpa Pran, some are Mahapran, some are Mridu Vyanjana, some are Karkash Vyanjana. So those things are there. We will see that. Next topic we have is the Gunitakshara. That is the vowels attached to each of the vowel is attached to one consonant. So we have attached to the consonant ka. So we have ka, ka, ki, ku, ke, kai, ko, kau, kam, kaha. So that is the Gunikshani. Samiktaksharani is the how we because in the script often happens is that we have to combine Shakti, like we have the word Shakti is there, or Lanka is there. The two words gets combined. So how do we write them? Because in Sanskrit it can be written below the preceding word or at the left bottom or at the right bottom. So those rules are there in the Samyaktaksharani. Maheshwar Sutrani are the 14 Maheshwar Sutra which Lord Shiva gave to Panini. And there's a story attached to it. We'll see it in the next slide. And next we have is the Sandhi. Because it is very interesting note in the Sanskrit uh, grammar that we have the words, some words which have no meaning, some letters which are not there. Like we have island, so there's S is silent. We have debt, B is silent. But in Sanskrit, there is no such thing. It's a perfect language. It's a Devanagari. It is a language spoken by demigods. It is a language of the ancient lore, and it is still prevalent. It is still existing. It is our it is our misfortune that we are not able to study, but it is something which actually is so scientifically organized. We just see it in the next slide with how systematically it is being arranged, and it is so favorable for the modern computing for natural language processing. Just as an incident topic to mention that in the natural language processing, the entire corpus is present is given to the machine, and so they form they find the stem word, the root word, because they have to process it. And some words are, if you say eating, we say eat, eaten. It means basically the same thing for the machine. So they have a stem. So the stem word is the eat, and like that they analyze it and then they convert it and all of that. But at times it becomes very difficult because history is a word, but there is no root word to history. But this is not the case with the Sanskrit because in Sanskrit there is as we will see in the next topic, padam. So there are a word is formed with the prefix, which is known as upasarga, a root, and a suffix pratyaya. So there's a root word, and in Sanskrit there are two types of words: subantas and tinantas, nouns and verbs. Adjectives are also nouns, and the root word is called as pratipadikam or dhatu. For nouns it is called as pratipadikam, and for verbs it is called as dhatu. So there's a meaning to it. Gam. The gam is to go, and there are upasargas, 22 upasargas which are there, and which modifies the meaning. So anugamishati is to follow, anugamyati and agamyati. So those meanings are anugamyati is to follow, agamyati means to come, and the pratyaya, the suffixes which further change the meaning. So in the present tense, in the present tense, future tense, how many persons are indicated, those things are concerned with there. And so when the words combine, the meaning often changes. The pronunciation often changes, and that gets accounted in the sandhis. For example, there are many common examples for this is there, and so it takes into account that thing, and that is how that is also to be studied. For example, we have the word Sat Shakti. The first word ends with Ta, and the second word starts with Sh. And if we do this, when we chant it continuously, we'll see that Sat Shakti, Sat Shakti, Sat Shakti. There's a Ch word which is being uttered, and that is how it gets changed to Ch. That is what is explained here. Next we have this Vakyam. In the Vakyam we have Prayoga, voices, active, passive, impersonal voice. So there's a third voice also attached to it. There is no so subject, object, and the verb. That is how it factors. And Karaka, factors related to action thing that can require. So we'll see it in the next slide. The Subantas have the following qualities. So the nouns they have, because they are nouns, so it is in all the words in Sanskrit they have a gender. Male, female, neutral. Pulling, Herein, Nabunsakalini. So they have a gender. Vachana is there, singular, dual, plural, ekvachan, dvivachan, and bahuvachan. You may ask why dual vachan is there. Because duality is a very essential point here. And duality is not in the philosophical sense, but to say that we have male and female, we have the Bhautik Jagat, Adhyatmik Jagat, we have Lakshmi and Narayan. And so at times it is a very integral aspect of the Sanskrit language, and that's why we have dual case. And then we have the vibhaktis, that is the karkas. So a word can be in the nominative, where the doer is, vocative is the when you're calling a person, accusative is it is a medium, instrumental. Accusative is the object, instrumental is the medium, dative is for that person, ability is from that person, genitive is belonging to that person, and locative is to locate the person. So Ramaha is the nominative, Ramam is the accusative, Ramena is the instrumental, Ramaya is the dative, ablative is Ramat, Ramasya, Rame. Like that we have it. These are the karakas which are there. So you can have each of the word in a 3D diamond, in a 3D matrix. You can not 3D matrix in 2D. And that's what we have the table, the Rama table, Sita table, Rama table, so like that, because there are vibhaktis and then there are vachanas are there. And this is classified into linga. So that is how we have the classification here. Next we have is the tirantas, that is the verbs which have the following roots. So the verb is it's an action, so time gets involved, and that's why we have the lakaras, tenses. There are 10 lakaras are there in the Sanskrit language. 10 tenses are there that are being explained. So the present tense is it's a lat lakar. Okay, so there are 6 time based, and 4 is the mood based. Time based, in the present tense we have the lat lakar. In the past tense we have the langa lakar, but the past tense is other than the current day. And lung lakar is the simple past, and then we have lit lakar, which is a distinct future. Lit lakar is it's a Puranic time, Vedic lore time, thousands of years ago. And then in the future tense, we have Lut Lakar and the Lut Lakar. Lut Lakar is the simple future, and Lut Lakar is the future beyond the present day. And the mood basis, so what is the mood? So Lut Lakar is the it's through an order. Vidhiling is also it is in order again, or it can also be used for an action or for a request. Ashwini is in a benedictory way, and Dhrulangar is a cause and effect way. So had I been there, then I would have also got an opportunity to see that. This is a cause and effect case. Next we have is the Upasarga. There are 22 Upasargas which are there, as I said, and there are Pratyayas, 480, which are classified into Sanadi, Vikara, Krut, Tin, Sup, Sri, Tadhita, Pratyaya. So Vikara Pratyaya is the change which are there, because the as Samantas are classified into in the three genders, Dinantas are also classified the verbs into 10 roots, Dashagana, which are there based on their similarity. And when a suffix is added to them, there's a vikara which changes. So that's why we have that vikara. Next we have is the Panini Maheshwara Sutra. So these sutra I will just pronounce, and my pronunciation is not that perfect, but you can check on the internet for the perfect pronunciation. We have Ayun, Drilko, Aeon, Ayouch, Ayavarat, Lang, Nyamana, Ananama, Jabhe, Garadash, Jabagadash, Kapachatha, Kapachatatha, Chatato, Kapai, Sharasas, Hal. So the story is like this. Actually, when Brihaspati was teaching grammar to Indra, he was teaching each and every word, and it took more than 1,000 celestial years. 1 year of there is 1 day of there is 360 years. And so our 1 year is there 1 day. Our 360 years is there 1 year. That calculation is there. And accordingly, there were 1,000 celestial years which are there. So this uh, Panini was actually a dumb student. That is the story. He could not understand the grammar. So that's why he did austerity and he pleased Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave him these 14 sutras, and based on these 14 sutras, he made his Panini Sutra. So basically, Panini Ashtadhyaya. So basically what we are studying the Ashtadhyaya is basically the notes of a dumb student of the Vedic lore, and it is so systematically arranged. You'll see in the next slide. So here you can see all the vowels which are there. We have the I, I, O, R, R. So these vowels are there, and the A, I, O, these are diphthongs because they are formed with the classes with the combination of two vowels. So A plus E gives rise to A, and A plus E gives rise to I. Then we have the previous of pronunciation, because in the five vargas which are there, so we have the ka, kha, ga, ghana, cha, cha, ja, jhanya, ta, tha, da, dhana, ta, tha, da, dhana, pa, pa, bha, ba, ma, yara, lava, sha, sha, sa, ha. So these which are there, the vargas which are there. So yavarala and shashasaha, they are not in the vargas, but the other five vargas which are there, the first two of them are classified as hard consonants or mridu kathor vyanjanas, because they are hard, ka, kha, cha, tha. So these are hard to pronounce. And then other ones are the mridu vyanjanas, cha, the, va. So you can also try it on your own and also see the difference. And then we have is the non-aspirate and the aspirate, Kalpa Pravan and Mahapravan, which you have seen. So Aspirate is it takes longer breath. Huh. It takes a lot of breath. Ka. So that is non-aspirate. So that is alpha pram. So not much spent there. And so we have the Varanas. So 64 Varanas are there. Wherein if you see, we have 2, 3, 5, 5, 4, 9, 13. 13 of these 10, we have 23, we have 26, 31, 31 plus 5 is 36, 36 plus 4, 40, 40 plus 6, 46, which are there. But it includes the re and the plutha form also of the vowels. So the vowels are and which is a plutha form. It takes in the classification is that the vowels take one matra. That is one matra. And the consonants which are there, which they take half a matra. So is the dirgha. When it is in the dirgha form, that takes two moments. And when it is in the plutha form, then it takes 3 minutes which are there. So it can be seen that, and wherein what this means is that guttural. So guttural means refers to the throat. So if you can touch your throat and you can see ka, kha, ga, na, dha, ha, they have their origin from guttural, from throat. And then we have palatal. So you have to touch your tongue to the palate, and then you can pronounce cha, cha, ja, jha, na. Then we have labials. That is the lips are involved. Pa, pa, ba, ba, ma, and cerebrals, which are there. So you have to roll your tongue against the against the roof of the mouth. Ta, tha, da, dha, na, r, r. Dentals are, so you have to put your tongue, you have to orient it towards the teeth. Ta, tha, da, dha, na, and that we have. So that is with the grammar which is there. And an interesting thing with the grammar is that the 9 systems are there, and Hanuman ji, he knew all the 9 systems grammar. And this is just the very brief overview. In a separate uh, playlist will have it. So this is just to give an introduction. It is not to teach Sanskrit. Next we have is the Nirukta. The Nirukta means the ears. How do we comprehend the meaning? It refers to the systematic creation of a glossary, and it discusses how to understand archaic and common words. Nirukta covers etymology and is a study concerned with the correct interpretation of Sanskrit words in the Vedas. So you have a word, Atma, for example. Atma can mean body, Atma can mean soul, Atma can mean uh, it can mean Paramatma, it can mean so many things which are there. So how do we understand the correct? It depends on the context, and that is how it is given. And there are some very difficult words in the Vedas. So the famous Yaska, he has written the book Nigantu, and which is also very simply referred to as Nirukta. And this has got 5 lists of words, which are divided into 3 sections. So the first section contains the 3 lists in which the Vedic words are collected in the certain main ideas. That is like a glossary, gloss thing. And in the second one is it's a list of ambiguous and particularly difficult words for the Veda, and it gives the meaning to that. And the third section gives the classification of the deities according to the 3 regions. So when we have a word, how do we understand that? There's a procedure for understanding that. That is covered here. Because if we do not understand the correct meaning, then we can land up just understanding completely opposite what is trying to be explained. And because so you have the words, because if you have to understand the meaning, it means you can understand the word, you can read the word, you can write the word. So it is of course very closely related to Vyakaran, but it's a prerequisite to have to know Vyakaran before jumping into Nirukta. Because otherwise, if you just can't form the words, you just don't know the different meanings of the word. Because first you need to know the different meanings are there, and then you can analyze and see which most probably fits to it. But that intelligence is required. So here, another thing which is given is many words can be split into more than half in different ways because sandhi is there and you can have sandhi. So A is because of A plus A. It is also because of A plus A. It is also because of A plus A. So different cases are there. And to understand that, we have Nirukta. There are also other meanings also from Nirukti. From Bhagavatam, it is called as decided or accomplished, which is further supported by Mahabharata definition. So the word which has been accomplished, so the meaning, when it is when we know that yeah, okay, this is the meaning. What is being explained here? And also another definition is Niruktam. And one of the very good example to take is Aditya. Now, this word Aditya is saying, how do we understand what it means? Well, it means several things. Aditya kasmat, adate rasan, adate ahasam, jyotisham, adate adityo bahasriti va, aditi putra iti. So Aditya, it can refer to the fluids, it can refer to the eclipses which are there, it refers to the sun, it refers to the sun, like sun is there, it is the offspring of Aditya. That's it. So different ways are there, different uh, for each and every word, there are tens of meanings which can be there. So we have to understand what it means, being the context. Next we have is the Chandah. The Chanda, it is feet, it is the root. It's that which gives pleasing sensation for the ears while reciting the verse. Aladayati iti chandah. And it is word derived from the word chand, tamavarnanena ahladayati, to please and to cover. So, chandas are, there are different meaning, meters are there in which the words, the uh, the Sanskrit mantras, the verses are to be chanted. We have the Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samavetaayuyutsava Mamaka Pandavasveva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. This is one. If you have a different uh, verse, then we have Papanyadosho Pahata Svabhava Uchamitam Dharma Sammudachita Sreyasha Nisidam Bruhitanme Nishastyam Shadimam Prapanyam. So that is there. So it is the way of chanting the verses. And it is very essential because I gave the example of Pashta, of the Vrittasur. If some problem is there, then it can be very problematic. The whole meaning changes. The Chanda Sutras were recorded by Pingala Nagaraj, introducing the poems and verses meant for Lord's name, qualities, and pastime. So Chanda also is a book written by the Veda-purusha, and there he is explaining. So Pingala, we will just see the different books which are there. Because it is essential to also know the names of different books which are there. In the Rig Veda, we have the Rig Shakha, and in the Vyakaranan, as we see, there are 9 books are there, uh, which of which the famous is Panini. And Panini, there was a Mahabhashya given by Patanjali, and there are other commentaries also. There's a Vartika also commentary preceding the Mahabhashya. It gives additional explanations which are there. So it is also essential for us to also know the names of the books. So Chandakosab is a book written by Srila Baldev Vidibhushan. In the Vishnu Purana as well as in the Bhagavad Purana, it is stated that the names of 7 horses of sun god are named after the Vedic meters. Gayati, Bruhati, Ushnik, Jagati, Tushtup, Anushtup, Pagankati. And the original of the Sanskrit meters is also again a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tasyo Ningasillo Madhyo Gayati Cha Tvacho Vibho Tishtum Mamsat Asnuto Anushtup Jagatiya Asnatah Prajapatehe. So that is how it is explained that Ushnik meter arose from Brahma's bodily hair, and Gayatri it came from the skin. Trishtup arose from his muscles, Anushtup from his veins, Jagati from his bones. So, of course, he is not that he is a creator, but that is how it got manifested. Everything came from Bhagavan, but he was a manifesting potency. And in the so there are 28 syllables, as you can see, 12 syllables which are there. We will see it in the next slide. So Padyam is generally mostly in Sthiti with 4 padas depending on the number of syllables from 1 to 26. So the verse which is there, different names are given. Utha, Yutha, Madhya, Pratishta, Supratishta, Gayatri, Yashni, Ganushtu, Bruhati. So on and so forth, we have that. And anything beyond 26 syllables is referred to as Chandah. There's a specific name also given to it, but in general, we can say this also is how it can be referred. So if we hear this reference, then we should know what we are. One should know what the other person is talking about. And it is said that 700 are available in Chanda Kaumadi. Again, a Shastra on that. Page 264 are actually there. The books, Chanda Shastra by Pingala Rishi, Chanda Kosha and Chanda Kaustubh. Chanda Kaustubh is a book written by Sripad Baldev Bhushan, and he is explaining the different meters of chanting the verses, and which we can also use in our own endeavors. So it's very important. And actually, we see some examples of the verses out of which chant. So there's a Anushtup, 8 syllables which are there. हरे तवाङ्घ्रिपङ्कजं भावापवर्गम् आश्रिताः तदेष साधुर् हृदयस्वयासुरसमापितः. Actually, have the Trishtup सर्वस्य चाहं यदि सन्निविष्टे मता स्मृतिज्ञानोऽनुपहुलं च वेदेश सर्वैरहमेव वेद्य वेदान्तकृद्वेद्विदवचाहम्. That is this Trishtup and the 12 syllables. Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam शुकमुखादं प्रदुद्रव संयुतं पीपित भागवत रसमालय मुहुरवरसिकबुभि. So these are different meters which are there. And traditionally, that is how the students would learn, because this also aids them in learning. When we have a tune, we have abbreviation, then it becomes very easy for us to memorize things. And it is said that so people at that time, Shrutidhar, what you spoke at one, they would grasp it. But those who were little less intelligent, for them the Guru would recite it 3 times. So that is how the standard is, that the one person who cannot understand one at the same time, he's three times it is repeated. So that is a dumb, that is a standard. When he is not able, like in a similar way, the person not able to understand it, the story, and he goes to, in the original which is there. And that is how proceeds. So a dumb person is not able to understand, and the Guru repeats it for 3 times. So after hearing it for the 3 times, and that gets registered in his mind. And such is the thing that the dumb people whom we call, and from their perspective, just by twice hearing it, he can understand. So that is how it is there, and it is very essential. That is why it is known as the foot, because nothing is possible without it. Our entire scriptures are based on that. Next we have is a very interesting one, Jyotish, and it is basically a time science which has got 3 divisions. This is a verse from the Brihadarashara Shastra. Bhavan Paramam Punyam Goyam Vedangatutamam Triskandam Jyotisham Hora Ganitam Samyeta Vidhi. There are 3 parts of there. First is the Hora. We will talk when we commonly say astrology. Jyotish is not same as astrology. Jyotish has got astronomy, astrology, and various other things which we will see over here. But it is just a part of that, and it is 3 further divisions. Chataka. And this is the horoscope. This is the horoscope reading which we see. And basically, so we'll cover that in the next slide. So when a person is born, a snapshot of the sky is taken, and there's a Kal Chakra on which there are 12 rashis are there. So it is 360. So chakras of 360 degrees are there, and each and every rashi then thus covers 30 degrees. And then we have got 27 nakshatras. So one nakshatra is 13 degree 20 minutes, and one pada is 3 minutes 23 degree 20 minutes. So each and every nakshatra has got Each and every Rashi has got 9 padas, 2 from one nakshatra, 4 from one nakshatra. That is how it is. So a snapshot is taken, and based on the planetary position at that time in various the considerations are there. Next we have is the Prashna Kundi. So many times the horoscope is not available. So the moment the question is asked, at that time a chart is constructed, there we answer. There are, of course, various other aspects to it also. There's in even in land we can have that. So because the procedure is the Tambula Prashna, Swarna Prashna, and the we have the Tambula, we have the Swarna Prashna. So these are the different ways of having that the Prashna with respect to the house, with respect to the matter in question we have it, and that is how we take it. That is how it gets used to it. And so you can understand it in this way. Each and every land, it has got its own potency attached to it. With this, we can understand Tambula, Purana, and Ashtamangala, which is there. And with this, we can actually comprehend. The Prashna is also it, and it is actually a little difficult compared to the Jataka. Some rules changes. Next, we have is the Muhurta. So Muhurta refers to the electional astrology. Election is not concerned to the election, but it refers to the auspicious time, because each and every moment, each and every task which is there, there has to be a favorable position for that to be successful. And it is also our calendar is based on this Panchanga. Angas are Tithi, Var, Nakshatra, Yoga, Karana. So there are 16 Tithis are there. Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti, Saptami, Ashtami, Navami, Dashmi, Ekadasha, Dwadasha, Trayodasha, Chaturdasha, Purnima, and Amamasya. Each of them, they have their own lord. In the Var, we have the Ravivar, then we have the Somvar, Mangalvar, Budhavar, Guruvar, Shukravar, Shanivar. And we have the 28 nakshatras, as we have already discussed that. So the nakshatras which are there, Yoga and Karma. So these are some astrological calculations. The nakshatras is Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Mrigashisha, Ardra, Punarvasu, Pushya, Ashlesha, Makha, Purva Falguni, Uttar Falguni, Hasta, Chitra, Swati, Vishaka, Anuradha, Jyeshta, Moola, Purva Ashad, Uttarashad, Shravana, Dhanishta, Shadishat, Purva Bhadra, Uttar Bhadra, and Revati. So these are nakshatras are there, and they have an influence to it. How we'll see it in the next slide. And the third one is the Ganita. This is all of the backend stuff, backend calculation with the which is essential, because we have to know the planet which is there. So in the Hora we have this planet is in this house, but how that has happened? We have the software, but to speed it on with the calculations which are there. That is how it is concerned. Correct degrees of planets by pure calculations, calculation for finding the star, the end of the muhurta, auspicious, auspicious period, finding the exact sunrise, sunset times. All these things are there. And there are several treaties which were written. And the most famous is the Surya Siddhant, Paulisha Siddhant, Paramaga Siddhant, Vasishta Siddhant, Pitama Siddhant. So they explain the Ganita, they explain the rules which can be used here. And so this is one thing, that the proficiency in these is considered a prerequisite for a good astrologer, according to the celebrated astrologer Varamira. The Bhakti Siddhanta Sarvabhauma Thakur has translated Surya Siddhant from Sanskrit to Bengali along with Surya Shiromani, which is a commentary on Surya Siddhanta Bhaskara. So these 5 are very essential from the Ganita point of view. So now next we will have the Samhita part. So in the Hora part, it is an individual, his chart, his mood that is seen. In Samhita, it is for the general audience, for the worldly affairs, I think, of predicting the rains, droughts, epic wars, political ups and downs of the country, weather forecast, and all of that. So that is a singular and there is a multi. And that's just a crude example to explain it. The famous book for that is Bruhat Samhita. Also books for the Jyotisha, the Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra. Parashar Muni was the father of Vyasadeva, and he wrote this book, Bruhat Parashar Hora Shastra. Bruhat Jataka is there, Faladipika is there, Jataka Parijata is there, and Prashna Marg is there. In this book, Prashna Marg is on how do we do the Prashna Kundali. Now we'll have the most important thing. So there's a Kal Chakra, 360-degree. So each and every Rashi has got 30 degrees. And that is the major aspect which they cover. And the Kal Chakra moves in the clockwise direction. And all the planets also revolve, not on it exactly to say, but around it, it's below it. And the speed of Kala Chakra is greater than all the planets. And that is why, as you know, it appears to move in the anti-clockwise direction. It's a very common basic thing because you can see if someone is rotating a wheel in clockwise direction, and there's an ant. If he observes an ant over there, he's trying to also move in the same direction, but somehow he's not that fast. Of course, it, it is the wheel is revolving in RPMs. So then you will see eventually you will see that uh, ant is actually moving in the anti-clockwise direction. So these planets are there, and when someone is born, so they are traveling constantly traveling in this Kala Chakra, and they have different time periods. For example, Sun covers each and every Rashi in 1 month. So in 12 months, he is done with the entire Chakra. So the Chandra is within a week. That is how it is there. Shani takes 1.5 years. It's the longest. The planets are nine: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. And these all revolve on this. When someone is born, at that time the planetary position is taken because uh, those karmic reaction is there. And based on that, the Lagna which is rising on that day, the point in the eastern direction is taken as the Lagna. That is one of the Lagna. And on that we construct a chart just for 12 houses, bhavas. First is your own self, second is your family speech, and third is your brothers, your patience, your courage. Fourth is your motherland. So these things you can see over here. So we when we take a snapshot, allegorically explain that. So we have the planetary position in different uh, in the rashis, and that rashi which is was rising in the east. If you're considering that lagna, that is the first house. That is also has a rashi. So let's say it is Kanya Rashi. So then from here we have the Tula, Vrishchika, Dhanu, Makara, Kumbha, Mesh, Vrushava. So like that we'll have. Whatever number is there will then follow the subsequent numbers from there. In each of the house bhavas, they denote some particular qualities. And the planets also have their own quality. So we have to study that combination, and there are other technical things also aspect and all that. And on the basis of that, we make the prediction. So it is not some random thing. It is a very scientific thing which is there. And the planetary position and so this is a snapshot which is there. There's a transit also there because it's not that as soon as you were born, then the planet stopped moving. You also move, of course. And based on that, the results can modify. So when a person is born, at that time, all the karma which is going to experience, a prarabdha karma which is that gets he gets to experience them sequentially, and that can be studied, that can be inferred from studying Jyotish. So it is a big thing. It's a total pure science and not a mundane. It is not a pseudo thing. It's a very simple thing. Everyone does karma, and that karma has to be experienced by a person. And it is not because so there are so many lifetimes which we have lived. It is not that we can just pour all the karma. just one single life, because uh, it's like it will be an overkill. Sequentially, it has to be there. So, how which karma is to be there, that all comes the jurisdiction of this of the jurisdiction is from here. Which karma, because each and every rashi, each and every nakshatra, they have got their own importance. Uh, that is how there's a significance attached to it. We have to synthesize the results of the bhava, of the rashi, which it is, and the nakshatra, the grahas, which are the aspect it is. And that is how on that we make the prediction. So in essence, the Kala Chakra is moving, the planets of the move on it. Whereas the Kala Chakra is at a greater speed, seems to move, it apparently looks like the planets are moving in the anti-clock direction. And when someone is born, there's a snapshot taken of the, not literally, but explained in that way. And, we have the, the karma we get to understand. And in Jyotish, we need to understand. Jyotish can never burn karma. It is not part, it is beyond the jurisdiction of Jyotish. It can only indicate them, reduce their effects, or for that matter, actually, nothing can burn your karma except for bhakti. Bhakti, oh, there is nothing other thing is possible. Of course, someone gives some service, that is one thing. Uh, but that is like to say, uh, we can understand in this way that only bhakti yoga, and you are then only free from the karmic reaction. Otherwise, you are bound to experience the karmic reactions. And we can study it from the Jyotish, from this thing. The effects can be minimized, that is true, but it is not to just cancel it. The results can be postponed, preponed. It's only bhakti yoga which can actually change it. That thing needs to be understood. We only indicate the future, what is going to happen, to help the person to select, because anyways, for a person, all the major things of his life are fixed. When he's going to take birth, when he's going to die, and those things are there, decided. So there's an indication from here, and there's no problem with the science, but there can definitely be the problem with the proponents, with those who explain that, because everything can be seen from this chart. There's no doubt about it, and it is visible, but it depends on the depth, on the knowledge of the person who's seeing the chart, and how far, how detailed he can, how much can he extract from that. So everything is there. The X-ray is already there. It clearly shows the fracture. But if a doctor is there who doesn't, he's not well versed, then it is his problem that he's not able to decipher that. The science is perfect. That needs to be understood. And there are many nuances to it. There are four pillars are there. So one is the house. So the rising point is taken as the lagna. And then we have the house, and each in house. And that is fixed. Irrespective of whatever lagna is there, it is fixed, and they denote some aspects. So we have the bhavas, we have the grahas, we have the rashis, and the vargas. So since each of them represent more than one thing, for example, we have the fourth house. It represents the money, mother, land, assets, maternal aspects. But so if we see some problem over here, it is difficult to actually say, look out, what exactly problem is there. So for that thing, we see the divisions are, because we take and we divide it into four parts, or into 16 parts, and then we have a cast a new chart, and accordingly that is being studied. It's a great science. Ultimately, we need to understand that this whole universe is controlled by demigod, or by devtas. Every aspect is connected, is been based on that control, and the devtas are controlled by mantras. That is the power of mantras. If it is properly chanted, then it can actually, anything is possible. And mantras are there with the brahmanas. So we can say brahmanas are in a way, in an indirect way, they control it. So that is the aspect. That's why we have a very personal uh, notion of the universe. There's a presiding deity for the trees, for the rivers, for the mountains, for that, and that is how we respect each and every entity because life is there in that, and it's a lively thing, not just something we can use it for our own enjoyment. So Jyotish is the very thing. It's not a pseudo thing. Just the fact that there are planets, there are external forces, there are some cosmic forces which are there, and which influences a particular person. And we need to understand that we have to decipher, and no one can change the reaction. Can only minimize, postpone, prepone. That is it. If the dosha is in the kundli, in the horoscope, some tiny dosha is there because there are dasha systems are also there. The Rahu dasha, the Shani dasha can be difficult. Not always, but times it can be difficult. So that is how it gets manifested over here. As I said, in a separate class, we'll actually look into much detail. Next we have is the Kalpa. Kalpa Shastra. So Kalpa means the hands. How do you do things? And it means the proper fit, competent, sacred precept. It also refers to one of the six Vedangas. So that is the meaning, what all different things it can mean. But traditionally, when we use Kalpa Sutra, it means Veda, the Vedanga. But this is very interesting, and all the rituals and everything is actually part of Kalpa Sutra. And major texts of Kalpa Vedanga are called Kalpa Sutras, which focuses on standardizing the procedure for Vedic rituals, rites of samskaras, rites performed with major events of one's life, such as birth, wedding, death, etc. We just come here in a minute, and it's a fact actually. Chanakya says that wherever there is no temple, don't just go there. It's not just a sentimental thing. But the point is that the temple was the center of a sabhyat, of a city, of a town, and everything around it was built. And also, it can be understood in this way that it is very important that there was food security for everyone at the mandir, and there was no sponsor because mandir it means it is the arena of the god. So food is given by God. There was no question of ego, and the point is that it was the epicenter, center up for all the major things just there. And accordingly, the city planning was being done. The Kalpasutras give information to set up, including detailed strategy and planning, However, idea along with the detailed information for performance of any yajna also explain the small differences in the performance of rituals of Veda Shastras. So we'll just see it in the next slide. So the Kalpa Sutras, they are actually divided into four parts. One we have is the Shrauta Sutras. So the Shrauta Sutras, they prescribe the rules and perform for different types of sacrifice and yajna which is there. In the yajna, the point is that the Bhavan is created with such a system that the humans are there and they are dependent on data. When we do yajna, our senses, our desire, to fulfill our desire, we do yajna. That is the whole logic which is there. So different yajnas are there for different types of uh, needs. Someone wants a son, someone wants something else, someone wants promotion to heaven. So accordingly, we have the different sutras. Next, we have the Gruya Sutras or the Smarta Sutras. As we have discussed in the basic tenets of Vedic philosophy, there are four ashramas: Brahmacharya, Graha, Savana, Sannyas. In each of them, they have their own duties. The Gruya Sutras, they specify the Gruya duties. Because in the Gruhas ashram, they have to deal with the world. They are practically dealing specifically with the world. And here we have the uh, sutra, some rid which are there, which are to be performed by the person. We'll just in a moment we'll actually look into the yagna. We'll have that. So the duties of the Gruha Sutra, of the Gruhastha, uh, is being covered here. And there are some samskaras which is to be done. Grast, Shodasha samskaras. In the Mahabharata, it is written as 40 samskaras which are there. Now in Kali Yuga, it is only 16 samskaras which are there. Now that too, no, it's not been done. It starts with the Garbhadhan samskar, which is when the procreation takes place. The Pumsavana samskar, to beget a male child, a healthy child. Shrimunta Tapta samskar, which is the parting the hairs, the wife's hair, for it is a protection against all the evil forces. This is just when the wife is pregnant. Shoshayanti, which is for the easy birth, childbirth. Next we have is the Jatakarma, the birth ceremony. Nishkramanya, first outing, when he goes first time out of the house. The Namakarana, the Paushtikarma. Paushtikarma is for providing the good health. Mundana, the shaving. First, Annaprashana, when he begins to eat grain, solid food. Karana Veda is piercing of the ears. Chuda Karana, the first haircut. So, Mundana is to remove the hair, but Chuda Karana is the not proper haircut, but hair, there are, of course, different things are there, but it is not complete shape. Vidya Aram is the beginning of the schooling. Upanayam is the initiation, because to study Vedas, Upanayam Sanskar is required. Next is the Vivaha, the most important Sanskar. And then we have the NPS degree. So how to do these things, what is the procedure, and all of that is there in the Dharma, in the Gruhya Sutras. Next we have is the Dharma Sutras. In the Dharma Sutras, we have, that was with respect to the ashram. Here the focus is on Varna, the different rules and regulations for the Varna, of the Brahmana. How should he conduct himself? How should he do for the Kshatriya also? What are his rules and regulations, and Dandaniti and everything is here. Dandaniti is also, you can, it's a part of Dharma Sutras. So that is being dealt here. Example is given for like the differentiation of life, student to household to. So this Varnas, as I said, they describe about the rights and duties of king, judicial matters, in personal practice, like the regulation, diet, offenses, expiations, daily oblations, funerary practices. So all those things connected to the social aspect. So because the Gruya Sutra is only concerned with the the rituals which can be done by a Grihastha person. Shauta is, of course, it is not just for Grihasthas. Anyone can actually do Yarni. Even Brahmanas would do Yarni. Not with a calm, with some desire, but because the Lord Himself is the form, is the Yajna-purusha. With the aim of pleasing the Lord. It was done. And Dharma Shastras are also based on Puranas. The Dharma Sutras are composed in prose and are based on Veda. So Dharma Shastras are also actually Dharma Sutra. But there it is based on Smriti. But the content is same, the presentation is different. Next we have is the Shubha Sutras, the Vedic geometry. Shubha means to measure. Vedas contain geometry related to fire, altar construction. There is a great need for measurement in any type of yagna, such as the measurement of the yagna mandap, the measurement of the yagna altars, the measurement of the height of the yagna shala, the measurements of the yagna kund, etc. So, Shilpa Sutras, you need to understand that everything has a divine purpose in Vedic culture. Even geometry has a very divine culture, I think. The Yagna Kund, which is being made, there has to be precise uh, calculations and everything, all aspects are to be very nicely uh, done. Otherwise, if any mistake is there, then the entire yagna is spoiled. Those parts are those things are part of the Shulma Sutras and even other mathematical things. It is not just the square, how to construct that. That is one aspect. It is actually the mathematics to some extent, the algebra also, not just geometry. That is the main aim because yagna was the main thing in the Vedic view. That was because even for those who desired to enjoy, even for them and those who view it as a part as a way of offering their their um, contributions, their life, their substance. So even in that way, they would also perform yajna. So it was a very essential thing. And so each and everything associated with the yajna was also considered to be sacred, a very important aspect. For example, defense in modern scenario, of course, in olden times also it was an essential thing. But we have the defense thing, we have the military aspect. And anything related to military is also becomes a very integral thing. Like we have the electronics, the mechanical. That also becomes a very important fields, and special attention is also uh, aimed at that because if any discrepancy is there in any electronic circuit, then the whole airplane or whole aircraft and submarine can fail. Shivasundar is considered as the basis of Indian geometry, just as Vedas are the roots of all religions of world. Similarly, it is not an exaggeration to say that Shilpa Sastra is the basis of all craft. It's a plain open fact which is there. There is no doubt about it. There are research which are there. Previously also I had said this in practically in each and every talk. Origin of any science, material or spiritual, para, paravidya, anything which is there, it is in the Vedas. Everything is there. As you can see in the Vedangas also, you know, that so many things are there. The and it is all based on, and that's why we first covered the tenets. The karma is there, and based on that we have the avastha and sthana, and we have the four varnas and the four ashrams. And then for the successful conduction of that, we have the kalpas, Sautas, sutras, dharma sutras, and all of that. And to say to deal with it, because we all are karma is there, there's no doubt. We are everyone is under karma, and there is each and every thing which we do, each and every aspect, as I said, it is controlled by demigod, it is controlled by devta. So to do something, an appropriate time has to be chosen so that it becomes a very favorable condition. So muhurta, to see our karma, how and accordingly we should see our nature and then to uh, do things. In Samhita part is it can be looked upon that how much rain will happen. So if there's not much rain expected in a year given year, so then that has been informed before sowing the seeds, and accordingly the farmers they sow the seeds of the crops which don't require much water. So that is there, and with the pronunciation also because Sanskrit is a very it's much beyond the language. There are four levels of sound: para, pashanti, madhyama, and vaikari. Para is spiritual. Pashanti is when a very subtle form of sound, wherein you can see the sound. We'll have it in some other uh, session, but sense object difference is not there. As I said, when we say cow, so there's a word cow and then there is a object. But in the Pashyanti level, there's no difference. And Madhyama is when you are the sound in your mind. Before speaking, you have the sound in your mind, in your throat. That is what is known as Madhyama. And Vaikari is what you speak. So sound is a very elaborate concept. And so is the Veda, so is the Sanskrit. And it has there are a lot of prerequisites there just to speak Sanskrit, to understand Sanskrit, to use Sanskrit. And that is also covered in, you can say broadly, in other four Vedangas: Siksha, Vyakaranan, Nirukta, Chandah. The texts are now being covered. So Shauta Sutras, Apastama Shauta Sutra, Bodhyayana Shauta Sutra, Katyayana Shauta Sutra, Shvalayana Shauta Sutra, Vishulva Sutras. Pastama. This Apasana, that Rishi has written he's covered each of every Kalpa Sutra. That's why you can find. And same is also a story with Bodhyayana, Ashwalayana also, but that is not being critical editions are only there. Shankyayana and like that. Now, as I said, we'll cover this is also the introduction, the conclusion of the talk. So we'll have the yagna, the procedure of the yagna. In the yagna, it is first the preparation for the priest. He has to do the sthanas shuddhi, where he is in this one. That's it. Shuddhi is purification. Dravya shuddhi. All the things which are going to be used, we have to purify that. Atma shuddhi, that is he has to purify himself. Chitta shuddhi, purification of the mind. Atma shuddhi refers to the purification of the body, taking bath, doing his morning program, the japa, the adhyaya, sadhana and all that. And mantra shuddhi is to purify the mantras. With the mudras that can be done. Then after that we have the achman. We have to do the achman. Then that is shuddhikaran. And there's a mantra which is chanted. Om apavitro pavitro sarvavasa. That is there. And then we have the asana sthapana. Asana on wherein the sacrifice where the sacrifice will be done, where the person will sit. That shuddhikaran has to be done. And then we have the mangalacharan. It is an auspicious invocation to ensure that there is no hindrance that is done here. Then we have is the Mangalacharan, Mangala Shanti. So there are some mantras which are chanted for to ensure that there is no inauspicious thing. And then we take Sankalp. So that is a bold that is a declaration of what is being done, when it is being done, why it is being done, where it is being done. So that is a Sankalpa. So I will just chant it. Om Vishnu Om Tat Sat Adya Brahmano Dvitiya Parardhe Shvetavaraha Kalpe Vaivasvathakya Manvantare Ashtavimshati Kali Yugasya Prathama Sandhyayam Brahma Vimshato Vartamanayam Gaurabhya Samvatsare अयने ऋतौ मासी पक्षे राशि स्थिते भास्करे तिथौ वर्णान्वितायाम् ॐ नक्षत्रसंयुतायां जम्बूद्वीपे भारतखण्डे मेदिभूतस्य सुमेरो दक्षिणे लवणार्णवस्योत्तरे कोणे गङ्गायाः पश्चिमे भागे चितगोत्र दासः श्रीकृष्णप्रीत्यै अर्थाहं संस्कारं कर्माहं करिष्ये. Wherever I have spoken, I added the it refers to fill in the blank. For of the Samvatsar is to we have to mention the date according to the Chaitanya era, and then we have the Ayane. So we have to mention Uttarayan, Dakshina. That is to be filled. After that, we have the Ghatastha. There's a pot because we invite the deities. In that pot, we invite the deities. We do the Avan of the deities. We do the puja. And then we have the Satvik Vriddhi Shraddha. We worship the Acharyas and the Mahabhagavatas, who are not invoked, but that is the next procedure to it. So that is before, actually, in the traditional way. So this is done before, one day before. Vedah Satyam is in. After that, we have the collection of the paraphernalia for doing yajna. We collect in the sense just to gather that already it is. Then we have is the adivas. So the auspicious items which are there, they are being presented by touching them together. Cloth, lamp, many other aspects, many other things are there which is being done. After that, we have the Panchareka Stapana. On the Yagnakun, we have uh, the making of the 5 rekhas. Then we have the Uttara Nivas and Agni Samskara. We do the Agni Stapana, we do the Agni Avan and Agni Pujana. And then we remove the inauspicious Agni which is there. So that also procedure is there. So Utkara Nivasana is that what I'm talking about, the explain the impurity. So we do we invoke, we get all the inauspicious uh, everything which is there. And in the Agni Samskar, we purify the fire and then we dispose it to the southwest direction. Then we have is the Agni Sapna, Agni Saha, Agni Ahavan and Agni Puja. Then we have is the Vishnu Suti, glorifying the Vishnu. Then we have the Trunandi Shodhana, Pasti Nevedana. So in the Trunandi Shodhana, we have to place the Kusha grass around the fire to guard against the Rakshasa. So as we have the stories now, of course, that is not there, but previously Rakshasa would attack and they would hinder Yagya procedure. Then we have the Vimshatari Kashtika Homa. 20 Kashiks are offering. Ajya Samskar, we purify the ghee. Shova Samskar, the spoon, we purify that. Agni Paryushana, we sprinkle water around Agni. Then we have the Mahavriti Homa. So that is as follows. Om Bhuva Swaha Idam Vaishnava Idam Namama. Om Bhuva Swaha Idam Achyutaya Idam Namama. Om Swaha Idam Narayana Idam Namama. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Idam Anandaya Idam Namama. This is the Mahavriti Homa. And after this point, uh, whatever is the specific samskara which is there, Vivaha or Upanayana, whatever is there, it can be performed. Then we have is the Homa, Mahavriti Homa, Purusha Homa, Mangalacharan Homa, Vaishnava Homa. In Homa, what happens is that we invite the deity and we give offering to that. And we pray that whatever is happening, if it's a sakam, then we pray that this is my desire, this is how I please fulfill my desire. That is how. And then we have the Uditya Karma. That is the common rites in the of all the procedures and which is performed at the end, which has got Shatyayana Homa, killing the faults, Prashita Homa, Agni Parikshana, again we do it, Udanka Jali Shekha, Darba Jyotika Homa, Purna Ahuti, Shanti Dam, Pranam, releasing the fire deity when the Yaka procedure is done. And then at the end we have the distribution of the Vishnu Prasad. That is with the Agni Yagna. With Jyotish also, there's an interesting thing. This is the conclusion which I'm giving, some miscellaneous things. We should now, at this point of time, the main takeaway from this point is we should see the world in an integrated way. We should, we need to see things, join things. One simple example is Jyotish is there, Navagras are there. Now they are connected to the chakras of the body. Nakshatras are there, that is also related. It is related to Kundali, it is related to yoga, it is related to Ayurveda, it is related to Shilpa Shastra, and it is also related to Parihar. That is, it refers to the remedy which is there. It's a very connected thing, a very detailed depth thing. And it is not that we can study them in an isolated way. But then there's a possibility that we may not be able to understand it it's, in its completion. Therefore, there's a need to view things in an integrated way. And that is what you should do. In this series, we are just introducing the different branches of Vedic scripture. We are just giving an introduction. This is not how we read Jyotish. There is so much into Jyotish. There is so much into Kalpa. Kalpa is not in a theoretical in a way. There's a practical thing attached. There's a theory and then there's a practical. Siksha, so same goes with Siksha, Vyakaranan, Chandas. Each and every Chanda it is to be taught. Shadula Vikri. When we have the verse Janmadi Yasoyato and Vayaditaratas Shat Shabinasa, that is a Shadul Vikri. That is like a movement to target. That is there. So this is the education which is there. And in Sanskrit, there's an interesting term, Bal, Shishu. So one who doesn't know about something, that person is called as Shishu. So we all are practically Shishu because we don't know Sanskrit. So we are Shishu. And this is the amazing syllabus which was there back then in the Gurukul. And as it can be evident, one can see that it would result in a very holistic development of a person. When he studies the Vedangas, he knows a language in which he can comprehend, which he can understand. He knows the Jyotish, he can know the auspicious, inauspicious time, and all the connection, all the rituals which are there, the way of speaking, and of course, other things are also there. So when these things are there, it leads to a very holistic development, very favorable for the path of nivritti, for the path of mukti, to be liberated from this world. So therefore, our endeavor through this playlist is to spread awareness, to make awareness about these things, so that people. It is not expected that everyone, as I often say, that everyone will understand everything in the first go. These things will be repeated as in every now and then. But the idea is to so that people get motivated to it and they begin the study. And we'll cover each of them in because we'll have some specific classes also. One some for Siksha, one playlist for Siksha, one playlist for Vyakaranan, one for Chandah. That will also be there. But here is just to ignite the interest. Just this is an introduction to give you an example to put the thing. Now, Jyotish, as I said, there are three parts: Hora, Samhita, and Ganit. So that is 1/3. And in Hora, there are again three parts: Jataka, Prashna, and Muhurta. And we only know Jataka. That is astrology. So Jyotish is not astrology. Astrology is just that, Jataka. So that is just 1/9 of total astrology. And 1/9 into 1/6 because Jyotish is one of the six Vedangas. So that is 1/54th part of that. Of course, it is not that uh, we can classify it in this way. We can because there's a mechanical way. It's not like that, and of course, not each and every or the field is equally distributed that we can have 1/6, 1/5. Can be that maybe Jyotish is not just the 1/6th part of it, that is just the 16%, but it can be maybe 1/5, 1/4, like that. But the essential point is that you can just imagine the spread of the Vedic knowledge. That this whole series is just an introduction to, you can say, to the index, that image which I show. That's why I have it in every presentation. And then just the content. There's just these things are there, these chapters are there, and we are just explaining in brief what the content is there. You just imagine how much things are there, how much to unpack, and this is what is there in Kali Yuga. Whatever available knowledge is there. So many other aspects, so many other things are there which we have lost. And no knowledge is lost actually. It is always there in the ether in the subtle form. If one does sadhana, does dhyan, that gets revealed to it. As I had also said in the previous lecture. So when the mantras are attributed to the particular Rishi Muni, it is not that they invented that, but that was revealed to them in their sadhana when they did meditation. So that thing can still be done. So this is about the Vedangas, Siksha, Vyakaran, Nirukti, Chandas, Jyotish, Kalpa. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रम उपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरसुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।